Hey, what's up, guys? This is Eddie Gray. I wanted to introduce you to Caden Only. What's up, man?
What's up, guys? How's it going?
Yeah, so man, this guy to me, he is the real deal, and we're working on a track together. And we thought, hey, you know what? Music production during the COVID era, let's go.
Yeah, let's do
So,
it.
yeah, man. Before we talk about the song and get into it, uh, give me some background on when you wrote this track and just kind of like how you wrote it.
I've been writing it since like last month. I've just been like slowly working on it. It's been a few different projects, but now I've finally ended up with it's named Untouched, and I finally have recorded all the vocals and created a vibe out of it, and that's the song I want to go with.
Is there a story behind it, or do you just kind of do what you feel? Like, because there's artists that like to have a narrative, and then there's
Yeah,
artists that just like they just go free and they go wild. So, kind of, what's
it
your
was it
approach?
was kind of just like old stuff that I've written too that I incorporated into how I felt with like the new beat that I made. So then like I kind of just go off of how that beat makes me feel, and then how
Yeah,
whatever it turns into vocally is how I go what I go with.
it's funny, man. When I first heard your music, at first I was floored because it sounded really fresh, and it's not every day that you hear something where you go, you know what? That sounds really good. Like I showed my
Oh yeah,
sister. I remember she was like, "Dude, that's fire." And
hell
I
yeah.
showed my friend, and they were like, "Dude, that." So anyway, I get a lot of very positive responses from you, and I think it's because you're so unique. How did you get that sound? How did you get the Caden only sound?
I don't think there was ever there was a moment where I was like, oh, finally, like I'm flowing. Like I remember it was always like trying to rap and never sounded good, and then like I don't really know exactly when it clicked, but it was just kind of like I kind of like how I'm going right here with the vibe that I made off of that Infamy song. So it kind of just unfolded from there. It was
Yeah,
never like a targeted like I want to sound like this. It's just kind of like whatever comes natural is whatever it comes out as.
how long have you been at this then? Making music, Logic.
Rapping and writing I've kind of like been dabbling in since like middle school. Like I never like vocally like would go, hey man, I'm a rapper and like listen to these bars. I would kind of just like write and then be by myself and be like, I don't know how that sounds. Like you know what I mean? Because I'm just kind of
Okay.
like listening to myself. And then once I finally got like recording equipment is when I started to take like the music thing seriously. So I think taking it seriously with having my own music stuff is probably like 5 years.
Okay. Well, I'm excited to get into it here. So let's go into a session and feel free to just chime in. Here's what you gave me and what I heard. You could see that, immediately I started to kind of think about some things, and we'll talk about these details in a second. But we're gonna treat this like, as a way for me to just give you some tips, but also like this is how my approach and this is how I would produce it. And then
Copy.
ultimately you're the artist. So if you're like, hey, let's try it this way, I'll always kind of lean in your direction.
Oh yeah, I'm excited to hear it.
So, well, this is not it. I just want to show you, and then I'm going to
Oh,
show
okay.
you kind of where I am. It's not done, but it sounds pretty good. I like where it is at this juncture. But so the very first thing was like, okay, I'm going to separate the drums, and I knew I wanted to get that 808 to sound a little more gritty. And then there was a time signature thing, which I don't know if you thought of it or not, but I just kind of wanted to show it to you. So let me just
Okay.
start by the concept of separating drums. When I got the track, all the drums were essentially like this, right? They
Yeah.
in one, and that's cool, but if you want more control, if you want to have precise levels, accurate levels of control, you got to separate the stuff. So I went ahead and literally separated every single source. So I've got the drum kick here,
Super dissected.
hi-hats, snares. I think you have like a clap or something else, and then the big kick, because one of them's kind of just like a regular, what I would call an acoustic kick. It sounds like this,
Yeah, and then I layered it with more as like a solid focused kick, I feel like.
which is this guy, right?
Yeah.
And
Yep.
you can hear this, right? You can hear the just
Oh
making
yeah,
sure.
yeah, yeah. I
Okay,
can hear it through
cool.
my headphones.
So that was my very first thing was like, yep, I already know I'm gonna want this dissected, and so I just performed surgery, open heart surgery, over the last, I don't know, it probably took me an hour. Now, I just wanted to show you this because I want to save you time. So like, if you ever want to do this, you basically would click on the regions, make sure they're highlighted, and then it's up to you. You can go ahead and use the marquee tool and separate everything individually like this, where you're kind of grabbing this, dragging it down,
Yeah.
the kicks. So that's kind of one way. My recommendation is that you do it like this though. Is you click on the entire region, join them together, so Command J, so it becomes one region, and then from here you go into key command Control X in functions, remove silence from audio region, and then now Logic is going to do that work for me, right? So then now everything's been separated and I've created the necessary corresponding tracks. And so then now it's just basically you're playing tic tac toe. You're just kind of
Yeah.
grabbing, the hi hat from here, dragging it down here. And so this is how I would do that. And the amount of power and control that you get is pretty astounding here. So let's listen real quick.
The same. Yeah. Well, I'm moving a swiftness.
That's a snare right there. I would drag the snare in the snare column, and I would go throughout the whole thing. Okay, so you get that.
Yeah.
Next thing I thought about was the oh, and by the way, the reason that's important is because now let's say I wanted to do an interesting pattern on the drums where we separated the hi-hats left and right for a bar or something. Here, listen to this. Right? Wouldn't it be nice if I could move this to the left, this to the right, and then start dragging some of these just for the sake of creativity? Like I'll just kind of do that.
Yeah. It'll create a different vibe just for that part of the song.
Yeah, so let's see what that sounds like real quick. Well, here, let's listen to it soloed and then with a voice.
Yeah, that's clean.
Do you know what I mean? Just
Yeah, I
has
like
a little
that.
bit more character. I'm not saying that's the way to do it the whole time, you could do it the other way where you have this in stereo moving around, and then during the bridge or something, you go to mono and you just keep everything centered. But I just want you to
Yeah.
have the option. That's my main thing in telling you that.
Hell yeah.
So that was one thing I thought was pretty interesting. Let's go to the 808, unless I think of anything else. No. So the 808, I knew for sure I wanted it to sound gritty. My fascination with like dirty sounds.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm always talking about that. So basically, Devil Lock from Sound Toys or in Logic Distortion 2. But here, listen to the difference between these two. So here's without it.
Yeah, I'm on the road right now. I'm in the zone right now. Yeah, I'm gonna come up. Bitch, I'm gonna go.
All right, now the only thing I'm doing is I'm just, in parallel, I'm just putting a little bit of distortion. And here we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm on the road right now. I'm in the zone right now. Yeah, I'm gonna come up. Bitch, I'm on the grind all the time. Working on myself all the time. I ain't give a fuck about you, cause you.
So here's before.
Yeah, I'm on the road right now. I'm in the zone right now. Yeah, I'm gonna come up. Bitch, I'm on the grind all the time. Working on myself all the time. I ain't give a fuck about you,
Oh yeah,
cause you give a fuck about.
definitely.
Now, you got to be careful, like how much,
Yeah, exactly.
I trust your artist sensibilities, but another thing you could do too while you're on this tip is,
Yeah, I'm on the road right now.
right now it's stereo. Hold on, let me check the meter real quick. No, I'm sorry, it's mono. So another thing you could have done, and I only know that because I'm looking at the meter.
Yeah.
So if I put a stereo maker, this one's by Plugin Alliance, really cool. Now you can get it to sound really big, like it's on the side of your speakers now. Whereas without this, it's kind of like.
Centered.
And again, no right or wrong, but still, I just,
Whatever
you
sounds
know,
good.
yeah, I mean, just listen to the difference.
Yeah, I'm on the road right now. I'm in the zone right now. Yeah, I'm gonna come up. Bitch, I'm on the grind all the time. Working on myself all the time. I ain't give a fuck about you, cause you give a fuck about me. Yeah, I'm on the road right now. Bitch, I'm in the motherfucking zone right now.
Maybe for the verses, we go like this so that, we can hear your voice clearly.
Yeah, I'm on the road right now. I'm in the zone right
But then we get to like the hook or something. We go.
Feeling like Batman now. Bitch, I'm back from the dead.
So anyway, that's
Just
something,
like-
just food for thought.
I like that though.
Yeah. So, going in between mono and stereo could be interesting. So those were my initial thoughts. The last thing that I thought about was there's like a little time signature thing that's pretty cool here. And just sometimes, notating it because this song was fresh to me, so I was listening to everything fresh. But like
Yeah.
if we're thinking about a time signature. So this song is 4/4 because it goes
But I move with a swiftness, feeling so gifted.
1, 2,
Yeah,
3,
coming in
4.
quick with a
1,
baseball
2,
bat.
3,
Coming in
4.
quick with a hit to the dome. Hey, pray to God, feeling so lit.
Well, it's cool. You're such a talented guy. You threw in a measure in there of 2. So there's 2 beats, and then we start over the process. And these are the little. I just wanted to commend you because these are the little things that really make somebody kind of stand out. You know, just these little tricks that they're pulling. Here, just listen to this real quick. So it's
Pray to God, feeling so
3,
lit.
4,
Yeah, I've been on this road for way too long.
2,
Never
3,
did anything
4.
wrong.
1, 2.
Everybody
1,
telling
2,
everyone that they
3,
know
4.
me now.
1,
Bitch, I'm
2,
back with a
3,
vengeance.
4.
Feeling like Batman now.
So there's cool little things that you were pulling off. I don't know if you did that intentionally or not, but
Honestly, I didn't, but it's cool to know that like you could see that.
you're pulling off some cool stuff. I love your music. I love what you're doing.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, it's definitely working. And the fact that you only have a couple of years under your belt, you're gonna be scary. You're gonna be very scary, in a good way. So let me go ahead and show you kind of like where it is right now. And again, it's gonna go how you want it to go. I just want to be clear that I'm just drafting it. So just picture like a little kid, painting or something. It's not
Yeah,
finalized. Yeah, yeah.
totally get it.
So let's just kind of let's listen to like halfway through or something. Here we go. Actually, I wanted to do one more change. It's funny, my head thought of it, but I didn't have the time to process it. So let me just do it really quick because I know it's gonna make it sound better. Okay, this plugin right here, I found it by a massive coincidence, and it basically just I call it my make sound good plugin. It just makes everything sound good.
Sound
So
good.
I'm adding it on your sample, on that cool sample you got there.
Oh yeah.
So here, let me just make sure these are the kicks. Yeah, let's go.
Yeah, I'm on the road right now. Ooh, I'm in the zone right now. Yeah, I'm on the come up. Bitch, I'm on the grind all the time. Working on myself all the time. I ain't give a fuck about you, cause you give a fuck about me. Yeah, I'm on the road right now. Bitch, I'm in the motherfucking zone right now. Told me that she know my ways. Ayy, bitch, I'm a new meat now. Everybody telling everyone that they know me now. Bitch, I'm back with a vengeance. Feeling like Batman now. Bitch, I'm back from the dead. Give me that ball night drive. Bitch, in the pain right thrive. You can see it in my eyes. This shit me against I. Yeah, but I move with a swiftness, feeling so gifted. Yeah, coming in quick with a baseball bat. Coming in quick with a hit to the dome. Hey, pray to God, feeling so lifted. Yeah, I've been on this road for way too long. Never did anything wrong. Everybody telling everyone that they know me now. Bitch, I'm back with a vengeance. Feeling like Batman now. Bitch, I'm back from the dead. Give me that ball night drive. Bitch, in the pain right thrive. You can see it in my eyes.
Never did anyone wrong.
I've been on this road for way too long. Never did anything wrong. Never did anyone wrong. Feeling like a bull. Put in everything that I got into a mic. Not even close to a point where I see a stop sign. Got a couple homies on my sign one day. I ain't give a fuck what they say about me. Flip it, it's so relevant now. Do it for the head of it now. Feeling like everyone got some shit they can say about me. I ain't give a fuck with the money, too fuck with the fame. Bitch, I'm running this game, I'm lighting this flame. Hey, 10 toes down. I don't know why everyone been saying I changed. Hey, always been the same.
Yeah.
But I move with a swiftness, feeling so gifted. Yeah, coming in quick with a baseball bat. Coming in quick with a hit to the dome. Hey, pray to God, feeling so lifted. Yeah, I've been on this road for way too long. Never did anything wrong.
That's fire. I'm fucking with that. Hell yeah. Oh wait, I can't hear you right now.
Yeah, so you can see my approach and why I decided to kind of get into it like that. I love the idea. So just so you know, Kaden and I, everybody that's watching, we've worked together for a little while. We've been talking about mixing and mastering and producing. So I always talk to you about a contrast,
Yeah,
and that voice, that tag is such a perfect complement to your dope voice.
I like that little whoop.
Exactly. So sometimes
Yeah,
you got to throw in another texture that complements what you're up to. So that was the first thing. Do you have any questions about this, or do you just want me to kind of get in here?
yeah. Let's break it down. I like it. Ready to hear what you
Oh,
guys say.
Okay, so your voice is to me the sound. So that was like I went straight for the jugular, you know.
Oh yeah.
Um, the very first thing that I started playing with was adding an extra compressor because
Okay.
you got that hip hop sound. In my opinion, it's not enough to use one compressor. Usually one to two, maybe even three, but for sure two can sound good like most of the time, 80 to 90% of the time. So it's called Arouser by Empirical Labs. It's basically a really intense, like distressor kind of. Uh, it's fantastic for vocals. My mentor told me about it. Big ups to Matt Thorne in Burbank, and dude, it just it brought you up to the front.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
and your voice is already so smooth and but it gave it a little bit of the edge that I like. So like yeah, here's without it real quick. You just take the other processing off. Here you go.
Yeah, I'm on the road right now. Ooh, I'm in the zone right now. Yeah, I'm on the come up. Bitch, I'm on the grind all the time. Working on myself all the time. I ain't give a fuck about you, cause you give a fuck about me. Yeah, I'm on the road right now. Bitch, I'm in that motherfucking zone right now. Told me that she know.
So these are those little things that start to kind of add up over time.
Yeah, definitely added something to it.
So yeah, like a warmth,
Yeah.
and then I was even thinking at some point I wanted to make your voice sound like this. Here, check this out.
Told me that she know my ways. Hey, bitch, I'm a new meat now. Everybody telling everyone that they know me now.
Oh,
Bitch, I'm back with a vengeance. Feeling like Batman now.
Oh,
Bitch,
I
I'm
like
back from
that.
the
Yeah.
dead.
I thought it could be cool if we do that. I don't know at some point. It's been in the back of my head.
Yeah, that's a lot
Usually,
cooler than the deep voice that I had added to it originally. I like the distorted style a lot better.
you want to try that out? Okay, so in what parts?
It was when I added the like that deep vocal right there down there. Those the ones that are muted.
Okay, so let's just basically supplement those. And then are these the same lyrics though or no? They're not, right?
I don't think that middle one is no. I think it's just
Yeah.
like a thing I had in there as like it was
Batman
riffing.
now.
Yeah, that's right there.
Batman now.
So let me hear this real quick.
Like Batman now.
Okay,
Bitch, I'm
so let's start with this one, yeah? I'm just gonna do this. The plug is the rouser. Bring this down here. Hold Option to duplicate, and now we're here. I'll take that setting and go all the way up. Let's see if we got it.
Batman now.
Okay, cool.
That's tight.
Batman now.
See if I go 10-to-1 ratio, more intense. How much?
Batman now.
Yeah, let's see what that sounds like.
They know me now. Bitch, I'm back with a vengeance. Feeling like Batman now. Bitch, I'm back from the dead.
All right.
I like the style. I like the distorted style that it has now. It's tight.
This is exactly why I wanted to do this. An artist should always get their hands on their music. Like towards the end of the process or at least in the middle somewhere. But here, listen to this.
Vengeance. Feeling like Batman now. Bitch, I'm back from the dead.
Yeah, let's put it a little lower, but I love it. Okay.
I like it. Yeah.
So what about the rest of these? Should we keep these? Not keep them? What's up?
Do that second, that third one. I guess I didn't name them separately, but so the
Okay.
bottom one of those three, yeah. So like,
And then what about this guy? What are we doing with this one?
I'd probably just scratch it.
Okay. So let me just add the same processing. Let's see what this sounds like.
They telling everyone that they know me now. Bitch, I'm back with a vengeance. Feeling like Batman now. Bitch, I'm back from the dead. Give me that ball that drive. Bitch in the paint
Volume. Hang on.
now. Bitch, I'm back from the dead. Give me that ball that drive. Bitch in
All
the
right,
That's
cool.
cool.
I dig
like
that. Yeah, that's an interesting sound, isn't it? You see,
ball that
I
drive.
would not have thought of it like that. So this
Yeah.
is like the importance of collaboration,
Hell yeah.
because the
Get
way you
everybody's
think,
get everybody's ideas going.
yeah, especially when you're dealing with somebody that's flexible. It sucks when you're working with someone that is super rigid.
And picky.
Yeah, and then bear in mind too, bro. In my experience, just a kind of friend to friend, there should always be a leader in every relationship. So in this relationship, you're leading this because at the end of the day, it's your song. And if you're like,
Copy.
nah, bro, we're not doing that, then guess what? We're not
We're
doing that.
not,
But
yeah.
if you have two leaders trying to run it, right?
Yeah,
it's a terrible idea. So it should almost be established from the beginning. Hey, who's leading this, right?
exactly.
And then let's say, not for us, but for somebody else, like they try out one leader and then the project fails. Well, next time, guess who's going to lead? The other person, right?
Exactly,
So
exactly.
anyway, just throwing that out there because I'm sure you're going to be working with a lot of people, and there can only be one. There can only be one chef in the kitchen. All right,
Facts.
let's listen a little bit more.
Now, bitch, I'm back from the dead. Give me that ball and drive, bitch in the pain white drive. You can see it in my eyes. This shit me against I. Yeah, but I move with
We could use it here as well.
I was just gonna say that in that little spot right here.
you can see it in my eyes. This shit me against I. Yeah.
Oh wait,
but
you're
I-
talking about here.
Yeah, both of them work
Oh.
though. But maybe
No,
it
no,
might be. Do you think it might
Try
be
it.
too much in one spot? We'll try it, I guess.
Honestly, dude, I'm always of the mind that you gotta listen to it.
the pain white drive. You can see it in my eyes. This shit me against I. Yeah, but
Just like that. Just like that. No volume changes, and maybe I'll turn it up a little bit, but that was tight.
Okay, wait, turn it up.
Just like maybe like a dB.
Okay, let's see what that sounds like.
the pain white drive. You can see it in my eyes. This shit me against I. Yeah,
That's
but
tight because it's subtle. It's tight because it's subtle.
It's also a new sound for you, which I like. Because you already have kind of that trademark sound.
Yeah.
So it gives you a little bit more, wiggle room to try some new things out. All right, cool. I dig that. And Bear, I want to tell you too about this kick because this is a recommendation I've been telling all my friends. So on just the kick, all right, not the whole thing, but
Yeah.
and not the kick and the 808. It's either just the kick or just the 808. You add a sub oscillator, something that generates low frequencies so that the kick can really sound heavy. Like right now, this kick, I can
Okay.
hear this thing translate and hit in my sub, which is underneath me. And the reason and the way I'm doing that is I'm using this plugin called Low Air. Logic has its own version. It's called Sub or something. So let's look it up real quick. But you're taking the kick and you're adding like 20 hertz, 30 hertz, that kind of stuff.
Okay. That's dope.
Sub bass right here.
Sub bass.
Yeah, and you're basically bussing it.
That's in Logic. Okay.
Yeah. You're bussing it, and then the way I like to do it is I high cut or low pass everything so that I'm just getting the sub stuff. I'm not getting any of the high information.
Okay.
Yeah, and Trip, man, here is just, and you got your headphones on.
Yeah.
Here's without it, so you understand. And we'll get with it.
Oh shit! Fuck yeah, that's tight.
And here you got to look at it. Let's see. I guess it would be here. Yeah.
1100 hertz.
Adding all this stuff. You see, all this weight that we're not.
Yeah,
getting.
it feels super heavy now.
You're not getting it here. The one on the left is on the track itself. Oh, I'm sorry. The one on the left is on the track itself. Here, listen. So you're only getting about 50. Well, here you're getting all this stuff. And it's not enough to be like, oh, I'm just gonna add it like this. It doesn't work like that. You have to kind of artificially create those. So yeah, it gets really big. Highly recommended for the style. Here, let's keep going.
yeah, I'm on the road right now. I'm in the zone right now. Yeah, I'm gonna come up.
So just a couple notes to myself, like as we finish the song, I'm going to separate the hi-hats. I'll spell that right later. We're doing music, right? This is not like
we ain't
dentistry.
Trying to spell stuff right. Dentistry.
You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of something I'm going to play with a little bit later. I love the kick. I love even the snare. I thought was pretty cool. Just a quick tip on my approach. I use a transient shaper. This one's by Waves. I think they actually have a sale right now. And basically, look at the attack, man. It's at 100. So this thing is going.
Oh, that's crazy.
Listen without. Just listen to this. Let's go no 808. Let's get the rest of this drop. So here's no transient shaper hitting the snares. So listen to the snares specifically. It comes out. So it's almost like the characters coming out of the TV,
Yeah.
reaching past your laptop and touching you for just that quick second. Now you couldn't do that with everything because then it sounds harsh and brittle. But
Yeah,
just
there's too
with like
much.
one or two elements, it could sound pretty damn good. So I do that, but then to avoid harshness, like where it sounds too heavy, too intense on somebody's ears, I use a deharsher and I smooth out the sound. And in
Okay.
Logic, I don't know if there's an equivalent in Logic, but you could just basically use a high cut and it kind of does a similar effect. But there's a lot of good plugins that do what this thing does, just kind of um, relieves the frequencies. It pushes them down a little bit. It's not as intense as it normally would be. So cool. Let's keep listening here.
Now, bitch, I'm back from the dead. Give me that bonnet drive, bitch in the pain white drive. You can see it.
So are you happy with all this? Any changes, any like specifics? Because I'm gonna write notes to myself. I'll finish it and then I'll post it with the video when it's all done.
Maybe
Yep.
pan the ad lib every other, the whoop, like pan it left and right every other or something like that.
Okay, so let's just do that right now. So I'm gonna go here. Oh, and that's actually another tip on that. I used pre-fader. We were talking about pre-fader
Yeah.
to make it sound more distant. I'll show you what I mean in a second here. Let me just and I'll finish it off. I'll send it back to you. You like listen to it a couple times. Send me any more notes.
Copy
and then
that.
we'll finalize it. So I'll move this one to the left. Oh, wait, this one's already on the right. Let's move this one to the left. All right, let's see what this sounds like.
This zone right now, yeah, I'm gonna come up. Bitch, I'm on the grind all the time, working on myself all the time. I ain't give a fuck about you, cause you give a fuck about me. Yeah, I'm on the road right now, bitch, I'm in the motherfucking zone right now. Told me that she normal ways.
That's dope.
Caden only. The one
That's
and only.
dope.
Yeah, no, that's a great artistic idea right there. Love it. All right, what else you got for me? You want to listen to it a little bit more? Where you at?
Yeah, let's listen to it after the first chorus. So yeah, right there.
Oh, actually, let's be clear. Which ones are the chorus? Because I'm still learning the song. Is it bar 17?
Yeah, that's where it starts. No, bar 25 is where it starts to go into that chorus right there.
Okay, so that's the chorus. Let me just color this for myself so I can remember this later. And then what's the next chorus? This guy? Or this guy?
Yeah, it's like chorus and then like outro, I guess.
Okay,
Call
so
that.
this one's the chorus here. All right. All right, so you want to listen to the second chorus or the first one?
First one, and then
Okay.
forward.
Okay.
Me against odds, yeah, but I move with a swiftness, feeling so gifted, yeah, coming in quick with a baseball bat, coming in quick with a hit to the dome, hey, pray to God feeling so lifted, yeah, I've been on this road for way too long, never did anything wrong, everybody telling everyone that they know me now, bitch, I'm back with a vengeance, feeling like Batman now, bitch, I'm back from the dead, give me that ball that drive, bitch, in the pain where I thrive, you can see it in my eyes,
Never did anyone wrong.
I've been on this road for way too long. Never did anything wrong. Never did anyone wrong. Put in like a
And then-
boss. Put in everything that I got into mic.
Go.
Right there, right in the I've been on this road for way too long part comes in.
Yep.
Like take that little deep voice right there and then put it down on that track where we did it last time.
Okay, just to be clear, it's this guy right here.
Yeah, that one.
Let me know if this is right.
Wrong.
I've been on this road for way too long. Never did anything wrong. Never did anyone wrong.
Sounds a little distorted.
Yeah, a little intense.
Should we do the same processing but not as much? Here, I'll show you what I mean. Let me do like this much.
In my
Never
eyes.
did anyone wrong. I've been on this road for way too long. Never did anyone wrong.
Never did anyone wrong.
How's that?
Yeah, and then actually now let's just take out that see where it's chopped.
Yeah, which one?
Just take out the second part right there. Yeah, that one.
Okay.
Might as well just
Anyone wrong. I've been on this road for way too long.
Never did anything wrong.
Yeah, it's better.
I love that. All right,
I like that a lot better.
let me render this because remember we're on the previous processing, right? So I don't want to mess up kind of the stuff I've done before.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I'm gonna go ahead and hit mute, and then now essentially move the settings in the arouser back to where they were, which from what I remember they were like right around here. All right, let me just double check that work.
See it in my eyes. This shit me against odds. Yeah, but I move with a swiftness, feeling so.
Yeah, hold on. Let me just back off a little bit. Okay, kind of like the in between.
Bitch in the pain, white bribe. You can see it in my eyes. This shit me against eye. Yeah, but I move with a swiftness.
Okay, and then we got this.
Bitch in the pain, white bribe. You can see it in my eyes.
Never did anyone wrong. I've been on this road for way too long.
Never did anything wrong. Never did anyone wrong.
So yeah, right now this is in stereo, right? Like,
Yeah.
just for the sake of research and just like let's just try it out. Let's see what it would sound like down the middle.
Can see it in my
Never
eyes.
did anyone wrong. I've been on this road for way too long.
Never did.
So like the reason that's not as interesting is because the one before this one was in mono, right?
Okay.
And then the fact contrast, right? Like always, it comes in mono and then it goes into stereo, so it sounds interesting. Here, listen.
Never did anyone wrong. I've been on this road for way too long.
Never did anything wrong. Never did anyone.
There's always that game back and forth. Here, I'll let you keep listening and getting some ideas.
Never did anyone wrong. Put in like a ball. Put in everything that I got into a mic. Not even close to a point where I see a stop sign. Got a couple homies on my side one day. I ain't give a fuck what they say about me. Flip that it's so relevant now. Do it for the head of it now. Feeling like everyone got some shit they can say about me.
You see what I was doing here?
I like that. It's like my breaths, huh?
Yeah, I just took your
I like
breaths.
that.
And I'm trying to see like where exactly it's gonna go, but I kind of just like two of them right here. Watch.
What they say about me. Flip that it's so relevant now. Do it for the head of it now. Feeling like everyone got
that.
some shit they can.
Yeah, sometimes it sounds like it's a percussive element,
Facts. Yeah, I like that.
Everyone got some shit they can say about me. I ain't give a fuck with the money, too fuck with the fame. Bitch, I'm running this game, I'm lighting this flame. Hey, 10 toes down. I don't know why
Oh,
everyone.
by the way, just my own personal, little things I do, just throwing it out there. The slowdown effect you have here, I would, go into the automation, and then I would just throw in a little bit of automation here. Now, the
Okay.
reason you're not seeing the automation open up when you hit A is because you need to turn it on right here where it says track.
Copy.
And so basically, I would just create a selection using the marquee tool, and then I would just enhance or highlight this little section here so you can really hear your voice go down. Here, listen.
What they say about me. Flip that it's so relevant now. Do it for the head of it now. Feeling like everyone got some shit they can say about me. I ain't give a fuck with the money, too fuck with the fame. Bitch, I'm running this game, I'm lighting this flame. Hey, 10 toes down.
Hey, there you go.
That was a little
Okay.
loud. Let's adjust it. Hold on.
I'm running this game, I'm lighting this flame. Hey, 10 toes down.
And then you would just finesse it, but you understand my point.
Yeah,
I'm
it gives
running
it
this
more of a
game,
touch.
I'm lighting this flame. Hey, 10 toes down.
So there's that. Okay, let's keep listening.
10 toes down. I don't know why everyone been saying I changed. Ay, I've always been the same.
Yeah.
But I move with a swift.
Did you hear that?
I like that
Vocal
little
edit there?
glitch. I like that.
Just a little something. I tried a couple more, but it sounded too like I
Too
was
much.
trying too hard.
Yeah, I feel you.
Like the best thing with your stuff is the swag is so hard that to do less is actually better because
Simple.
you're already doing so much with your voice. So here.
Saying I changed. Ay, I've always been the same.
Yeah.
But I move with a swiftness, feeling so gifted. Yeah, coming in quick with a baseball bat. Coming in quick with a hit to the dome. Hey, pray to God, feeling so lifted. Yeah, I've been on this road for way too long. Never did anything wrong.
Never did anything wrong.
Oh wait, we gotta change that one. That one's too deep. It's too distorted. Let me process that one without the arouser. Just put it on a separate track. I'll organize everything a little later to make sure that sounds good.
I've been on this road for way too long. Never did anything wrong.
Never did anything wrong.
I like this how it just plays out on here. This.
Oh wait, yeah, no, I was planning on stopping there, but it's up to you.
No, yeah, whatever you think is better.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I just thought it could fade, or we could just stop.
That's
or
cool.
even-
I like what the ends with just like two kicks like that. It's dope.
Yeah, I mean, some variation of that, but yeah, man, I think you got a great tune. I think you have a real knack for just writing a interesting song that no one else is doing. You're kind of in your own lane right now, so
Hell yeah, that's the goal.
it's you're doing it. there's not a single person that I can say, oh yeah, that's not, because most of the time when you hear somebody, no offense and no hate to anybody, because
No,
all I,
yeah.
but it's always like, oh, this kind of sounds like,
I hate that.
yeah,
I
this
hate
kind of,
that.
you know, and
I
the only thing
hate
I could
that.
say that this sounds like is like you.
Yeah, it's
So
so narrow. It's so narrow-minded to be like. It's just like I hate when people are like, "Oh, you sound exactly like." No, 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 no,
it's like,
no.
no, I don't.
Yeah.
So then, yeah, basically the last thing, again, I'm not through, mixing and mastering, but I was
Yeah.
thinking just to kind of show you, what I would do to master it. I'll stick in Logic for now, but I could also use my $600 plugin if you want. Did I tell you about the MK3 that I just got?
No, actually, I don't think so.
Yeah. Here,
Is
let
it
me.
a mastering tool?
Yeah, it's basically a mastering plugin.
Ooh.
The beast. It is a beast. I'll probably end up running it through that, but just for now, I just want to go through the adaptive limiter. Just want to see, where do I have that thing? Is it here? No, I got it over here in Logic. Um, so do you know how to use a limiter right now, or you kind of do you use them
I use the one that's like in Ozone when you do like the. Actually, I don't even use a limiter on my
on the
masters.
master?
When yeah,
Okay,
when
you should.
I'll
Here's
use
why.
I'll use a limiter like on a mix, but
Okay, here's why, because you want to get it to streaming standards. So where are you planning on streaming this? Like Spotify or?
most because like when I upload to DistroKid, it goes to like all the main streaming platforms. It goes to like Tidal, Spotify, Apple.
Okay, so that's a problem in and of itself. But let's just say your main bag is Spotify. Well,
Okay.
their current standard right now, last I checked, was negative 12 LUFS. So the goal, as you know, is to use the loudness meter and to try and get an integrated uh, number of negative 12 LUFS. So I'm going to press play. I'm going to let this run. And the way we're going to get this is you want to set the out ceiling to, I like to put it at negative 0.7. There's like various arguments of where you should put it.
I've always heard -0.4,
Yeah, there's
but I mean
some
whichever
people
one
think
matters.
one, some people think seven. There's a reason why I think seven, and it has to do with basically the true peak. I don't want to get into it right now. We can talk about it later. But basically, you set that, you save it as your default so that every time you bring up the plugin, it instantiates it with your settings, and then you lift up the gain until you get that number, more or less. So our goal is negative 12. I'm okay if it's a little over. I'm okay if it's a little under. Here we go.
Yeah, I'm on the road right now. Ooh, I'm in the zone right now. Yeah, I'm gonna come up. Hey, bitch, I'm on the grind all the time. Working on myself all the time. I ain't give a fuck about you, cause you give a fuck about me. Yeah, I'm on the road right now. Bitch, I'm in the motherfucking zone right now. Told me that she normal ways. Hey, bitch, I'm a new meat now. Everybody telling everyone they know me now. Bitch, I'm back with a vengeance. Feeling like Batman now. Bitch, I'm back from the dead. Give me that ball and drive. Bitch, in the pain, white bribe. You could.
So listen to your song without it, all right?
Bitch, I'm a new meat now. Everybody telling everyone they know me now. Bitch, I'm back with a vengeance. Feeling like Batman now. Bitch, I'm back from the dead. Give me that ball and drive. Bitch, in the pain, white bribe. You could see it in my eyes. This shit, niggas.
Do you hear how much more intense it sounds?
Yeah, it definitely brings it up.
Yeah, you know how we've been talking, you and I, about compression and how compression can make something sound more exciting?
Yeah,
And so a limiter is basically just a compressor, but it's like a compressor on steroids. All right.
yeah.
So basically now I'm gonna just check my work. I'm gonna bring in the multimeter, and then we'll wrap it up, man. I'm gonna go metering, multimeter in Logic, and here I just want to get a second opinion, right? It's like you don't just want to get that one opinion. You should always get a second
Exactly.
one. Here we go.
Roll right now. Ooh, I'm in the zone right now. Yeah, I'm gonna come up. Hey, bitch, I'm on the grind all the time. Working on myself all the time. I ain't give a fuck about you, cause you give a fuck about me. Yeah, I'm on the road right now.
So it's at negative 10, which is okay. Like I said, I'm okay if it's a little over, but just to kind of, you know, be safe, I'm going to bring down the gain plugin, which I put at the very beginning of the chain, just by a couple dB. I'm trying to get to as close as to negative 12 LUFS as possible.
Working on myself all the time. I ain't give a fuck about you, cause you give a fuck about me. Yeah, I'm on the road right now. Bitch, I'm in the motherfucking zone right now. Told me that shit.
And if I hold shift, I can, increase the numerical value by 1 decibel. So I'm just going to go 1.5 and call it even. And so that's pretty much it, man. That would be the whole process. I'm gonna polish this for you, make sure everything sounds good. Any other ideas? Any final thoughts here?
I mean, no, it sounds pretty good to me so far. I'm excited to hear the final.
Okay, for sure. All right, man. Well, let me hear. I'm gonna let you kind of shout out all your socials, and then we'll go from there. Go ahead. Please let the people know where to find you.
It's just at Caden only, Instagram, Twitter. I don't use like Facebook or any of the other ones, but I'm on Instagram and Twitter, that's for sure.
All right, man. Anything else you want to say, man?
No, but I appreciate the time. That was dope.
All right, cool, for sure. Guys, check this dude out. He's I'm a big fan. I think that he's killing it. And it's not every day that you hear something new. And so I just want to recognize greatness.
Yeah.
So thank you guys very much for watching. If you like the content, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. We thank you. We know who you are. Remember to keep your frequency high. See you guys later. Cheers.